Here we go. Good evening, good day, and good afternoon to everyone out there, everyone all over the world watching this feed. Thanks for checking us out at facebook.com/live reality games. We are joined here with Liz, host of Melbourne Survivor, and one of the players of Backyard Survivor, showing right now. Make sure you check that out, and a podcast happening right after this one. But our special guest this evening is Luke from the Totem Pole. Luke, welcome. How are you?
I'm so quirky. How are you?
Less quirky than that, but quirky enough to keep up with you, I think so.
Love it.
So Luke joins us from the Totem Pole. He was eliminated quite late in the game, which he did an amazing job. Luke, you were infamous for your over-the-top antics, all of your just dynamic displays of character, which was phenomenal to watch. So thank you.
No, thank you.
I think, Liz, if you recall, I think Luke was one of our over-the-top people that we really liked at first when we were doing our first cast assessment.
Yeah. One of the people who really stood out for sure.
I mean, just by the way that you chose your wardrobe, I guess, for this season was really standout. You had your hat, famously worn tonight as well, and those pants too. I thought in that first challenge, just starting right there, for instance, like, I don't know if that was the best choice of, like...
Abso-fucking... Oh, excuse me. Let me not curse. Absolutely.
We air College Survivor all the time. It's all right. So we should have saw Sarah last week.
We have opinions on here. They swear so much.
Oh my God. So, absolutely not. I walked outside. I saw that hill. I saw those bags. And I said... this is just not the outfit for this. I came ready for the camera. I didn't come ready for the dirt. Like, I was not ready for that.
Instant icon right there, just starting with that wardrobe choice.
Thank you. Thank you, Kirk. Thank you.
I guess just backing up just slightly, Luke, how did you hear about the Totem Pole? I know you did a little intro in the show, but for the folks out there watching right now or listening on podcast anywhere, how did you find out about the Totem Pole?
Okay, so... I have always been a fan of Big Brother, Survivor, Amazing Race, all things reality TV. That's just been my corner, my circle of life, if you will. So when I was, okay, let me preface with a little backstory. When I was 9 or 10 years old, I had a dream that I was going to become a reality TV star. Like, I literally saw myself on a TV screen. I don't know what show I was on, but I saw myself on it. So anyway, I'm scrolling through Twitter one day, and I saw this thing, and it was like the Totem Pole. And then, like, I opened it, and I was like, what is this? Like, this seems so, like, ooh. And then I watched a little bit of, it was during season 2. So, like, I had to go back to episode 1, because I think they were on, like, episode 8 or episode 9 or something. So I watched episode 1, and I was like, oh my God, like, this is dramatic. And then I kept watching. And of course, I went back and I watched season 1, and I was like, oh my God, I want to be on the show so bad. But I saw that, you know, season 1 and season 2 traditionally only had people from Harding University on there. So I was like, okay, not me applying to Harding University so I can get on the show for no other reason. And then coincidentally, season 3 casting opened and it said, open to everyone. And I was like, this is it. This is it.
And you made it there. What was the audition process like? Did you submit a video? Did you meet producers? Or how did that go?
Oh, it was a rigorous application process. So there was the first form we had to fill out, basically like name, you know, a little bit about you, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And you had to like submit, a really cool thing was like, we had to submit like our personality types, like in our Enneagrams as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I guess to help like diversify casting a little bit and mesh personality types that don't necessarily go well together and go really well together, you know, just kind of liven it up. And then from there, we had to submit videos answering, you know, basic questions on like strategy and what would you do with this? Or like, if you were in this situation, what do you like about the Totem Pole? What do you not like? Yada, yada, yada. And then from there, we were called to do our...
Icon again.
Hi, thank you. From there, we were called on to do our... one-on-one, like, well, not one-on-one, our producer interview. So it was Wesley, Brett, the executive producer, and then Garcelle, well, she was in my call. She helps with casting from season 1. And then from there, we heard if we made the cast or not. So it was very thorough, very thorough.
Congratulations. I know Liz likes to cast her people and put a specific color with them. Liz, what kind of color would you pick for Luke after this interview?
Okay, so if I was casting Luke for a Survivor, what color do I think his vibe is?
Yeah.
Because he's wearing yellow and is.
I literally knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were.
I'm like, that's the obvious thing. But I'm trying to think back to when I was first watching the first episode of the Totem Poll season 3. I think. I think if we go back to if we're choosing between green and purple from the tribes I was dealing with, I think purple.
Purple, there you go.
Okay. I love that.
All right. Well, speaking back to your first time on the Totem Pole, what was your first thought seeing the cast? You walked in while everyone else was sitting down. You had 10 people seated already, so 10 people kind of were hanging out, and then you walk through the door. What was your first thought?
Fuck. Because these people, they had a chance to interact and intermingle while they're waiting, for me to be brought in. So it's they're forming their relationships. I thought that I was instantly screwed. I literally coming into the game, because as you know, I saw Jackie on the couch, and it was okay, this is the baggage. Everyone's gonna see our relationship. And I thought that everyone would say okay, well, they have a bad relationship and he's he's a latecomer, so let's just make him first boot. So I knew coming in, I was fuck, I literally have to sit here and work my butt off to make sure that I can build these connections that are going to get me deeper into the game.
And which you did just fine by that. You worked with the other people that were kind of the baggage of the season. You worked strongly with Kadia and Jace. The other person that was the baggage, Nicole, she was a pretty early boot. She was honestly the first boot, so can't be much earlier than that. However, she was a big fan of myself and Liz.
Yeah.
For Nicole. Yeah. Was that kind of a thought process, Luke, going in? Were you going to work with all the people that were coming in a little late?
Oh, 110%. I knew that coming into the game, I was already at a disadvantage. So if we get together everybody that's in a disadvantage, that's numbers right there. So if Nicole was able to make amends with Connor and I could kind of make amends with Jackie, that's 6 people. That's almost half the cast.
Mm-hmm. It was a great strategy and it worked out. Let's see here. We kind of talked briefly about Challenge 1. You had some pretty big moments. Actually, honestly, I could say this for the entire season of this whole thing. At any time, you've had some very big moments. One of the first big moments is, I think, when Derek threw the baggage on you at first. Explain us to what happened for that.
Bitch, I don't fucking know. I really don't. I don't know. To this day, I went on live with Derek once. I went on an Instagram live with Derek and I said, okay, can you please explain to me where Karma's kiss came from? Because I don't know. I literally don't understand. I was not coming for you. I didn't give you any weights. What's the what's the haps? What's the 411? And he was well, basically, you gave Nicole the weight and then Nicole gave the weight to me. So therefore you indirectly gave it to me. And I was okay. If that was his prerogative, that was his prerogative, but at the same time, I don't understand that logic. But that's the way he wanted to think, so we're not going to judge him for it. But yeah, I was pissed. I was very pissed. I was you literally, oh my God, I gave the most passive aggressive smile. I was I was so mad because I knew that as soon as he tripped, I was because around before, a little behind the scenes, Derek asked, while we were transitioning, he asked, oh, if you were last, can you give the weight to the person who won? And I was because I had won every single round prior to that. So I was yep, well, I already had the hunch that he was going to give it to me. And then he trips and I was well, this is it. This is it.
Well, initially, I thought that's why he chose you. You started super strong in this first challenge. I think you won the first 2 matches of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of was not thinking, honestly. I was I don't know. I feel like I was destined to be a track star, but I never did track. So like I don't know where that came from, but yeah. It's the long legs. It's the long legs.
I mean, I think you and Derek, Liz talked about this before as well. Like you two had a super strong start, like very powerful players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I kind of caught wind of that. I don't want to get too much further into the discussion, but I definitely caught wind of that. And I realized, and I can talk to you as we get to that round a little bit more strategically, why I decided to step back.
Let's see here. So the first challenge goes on. You unfortunately get that lots of baggage, so you don't end up finishing the challenge in a placement. But going into the first elimination, Tessa wins this. Are you nervous at all? Like, what's your comfort level going into the first elimination ranking?
So initially I was extremely nervous because, like I said, I came in later than everyone, so she's had like time to, make deals and whatnot. One thing, like as soon as we went upstairs and were able to strategize, I pulled her aside and I was like, listen, like I'm not coming for you. And I don't want to see you go out. Like, I really like your energy. I feel like you and I are one and the same, like, blah, blah, blah. Watching the episode back, I had no idea that Tessa was against my energy, but her ranking saved me. So I don't know. I truly don't know, like, if it was like a last minute flip decision or what decided to keep me out of the bottom 5, but I did something right. So I don't know.
Yeah, and her confessional, just right off the bat, right when you walked in the room, she said, you walked in owning the place. And she was like, there's not more room than one more queen. I'm the queen. You can't be the queen. That's what she said.
You know what? I cackled when I watched that back. I thought that was so funny because like that's literally like none, like the energy, like we did not have the energy in our conversations, or at least I didn't pick up on that vibe. So if she's a pretty good actress, if she was hiding that.
Yeah, we got to sit down with her and Connor a few weeks ago, and she had super, super high regards for that too. So it was really fun.
Love her.
Let's see here. So Nicole goes home, one of the 4 people brought in at the end. And then we are up to elimination. So there's a bottom. What is your thoughts about like putting votes behind someone? I know. What's your thought process about the first round?
Right. So, as you know, Derek stole my vote. So I did not have a vote. However, just because I don't have a vote doesn't mean I don't have a voice. So instantaneously, I knew that Jackie's name was the first name that I heard, the very first name that I heard. And I knew that that was not good for my game because while Jackie and I have not talked yet, it's like, I know that I can use you further on down the line for myself because I know how you operate. I know how you think. I know how you perceive people. So I'd rather work with the devil you know than the devil you don't know. So I knew that I had to do something to flip the script off of Jackie. So there's a short little clip of me in the living room, and you can see I literally was talking about Madison and how she literally, which she did for the record, she threw out Jackie's name, she threw out Asher's name, she threw out Jace's name, she threw out Jada's name, she threw out everyone's name, and it was very messy. It was very, very messy. And I was like, girl, like we need to get it together. We need to get one name. We need to get one solidified name. And I feel like that also inadvertently, like, yes, Derek, like kind of was a forefront of like the trio, but I feel like that kind of also helped a little bit, like push that to the front of people's minds. So I did everything I could to kind of protect Jackie and eradicate all the conversations where they were like, ooh, let's vote out Jackie. Which I was very, very, very surprised that people didn't clock like, oh, well, if Jackie and Luke like know each other, we should separate them right now. Very surprised by that, but I guess people weren't thinking about it.
Yeah, I guess the term baggage really tries to like separate people, be like, hey, they know each other, but they probably don't want to work together. So maybe we should keep that friction going. But it seemed to me like you were targeting Asher pretty early. I know Derek played that little move, which gave Asher a little bit of an advantage and whatnot, but you gave Asher like 40 pounds of weight. So I felt like you were targeting her pretty quick in the competition. My favorite person. That was my bet from our cast assessment. So Liz and I have terrible cast assessments, honestly. So,
So to everybody in the comments who called me a Meninist, let me address real quick. So the only reason that I gave Asher the bags was because during the period of them setting up the challenge and us waiting down there, she was the only person that I did not get to talk to. The only person. So it was easy for me to just say, I'm so sorry. Like, I haven't talked to you. So like, I would love to talk to you, but it just hasn't happened yet. So I have to give the bags to you.
well, that makes sense now, hearing it from that perspective. And this is what we do. Like, we like to get the behind the scenes, explain what your reasoning was. So,
Right.
see, we're enlightened now. So, Asher goes home, which is unfortunate for my case. Liz was unfortunate because Nicole went home the first time. So, at least I beat Liz on this. Okay. So, let's see. Our next challenge was the they kind of did a fake out. They had you like count some numbers at first, and then that turns into touchy subjects.
Yeah.
Are you kind of familiar, Luke? Have you seen this touchy subjects before? You said you've watched some reality TV before.
100%. I knew that. I knew as soon as we filled out the surveys, that's what was coming. I knew. In the back of my mind during the whole challenge, I was waiting for him to say, all right, now you're going to reveal your answers. I knew it. I knew it.
And you called it. So what was your thought process? You seem to have a different strategy than everyone else playing the game, especially when you went to the finals and started showcasing your names.
So instantaneously, I believe the first question that was asked was, who is the weakest link? Or that was one of the first questions. And I knew that I just performed so well in that challenge. And I also helped drive the name away from Jackie last round. So I'm coming off as like a big personality in this game. So I had to think about I had to step back and think, what do I need to do to eradicate the target on my back? So I put myself as the weakest link, actually, and flipped it around because I wanted to psychologically trick everyone into thinking that I didn't have enough self-confidence in my game or my abilities to where they would underestimate me a little bit more. And it worked because it took me to the end of the challenge. I did not expect to see the end of that challenge, but there I was.
You made it to final 3, I think. So
yes.
Yeah.
Now, once you got final 3, a winner was crowned, Kadia, and what happened after that, Luke?
Let me tell you to set the record straight.
Thank you.
I was clapping for Kadia because after the first challenge, we had a conversation and I literally said, I've got your back if you've got my back. Done. Period. And Derek at this point has given me how many pounds? A lot. Stolen my vote. And during the challenge, was trying to move my block. He didn't, but he tried to. So it's 1, 2, 3 shots against me. Why would I root for you to win? That just didn't make sense in my brain. I didn't understand where he was coming from at the time because it's why would I clap for you to win if you're clearly going to put me on the bottom? So I just didn't understand where that came from. I understand a little bit more today, or after watching it back and seeing how he felt about his position in the house. I understand where he was coming from with that aspect, but in the time I was like, what the fuck? What's going on right now?
Yeah, I thought you were clearly clapping, and the people that were clapping with you were clapping in celebration instead of celebrating a loss, I guess you could say.
Right,
so.
Yeah.
So Kadia does win. You've spoken with her before, so you're feeling pretty good, I take it.
Oh, 100%.
Did you have any words with her about who to put on the bottom, or did you try to manipulate anything like that?
Like I said, the first round I overstepped. So this round I took 3 steps back. I did not tell her anything. I didn't try to give her any push towards any certain name. I literally was like, girl, you do what's best for your game. I want to look out for you. Whatever's going to help you in the long run. This is your round. I just ask that you keep me out of the bottom 5. And then I think she put me up at 4th or something, or 3rd. I don't remember. But
yeah, she seemed a little bit more strategic, and as opposed to Jace later on in the game, who said, these are my top 5. Let's just put them in order, So it seemed like she had a little bit more.
Yeah.
Love that.
So Connor doesn't save Derek, unfortunately. So Derek is the one eliminated from that. Any big surprises? He just blew up. It was a pretty easy, like, don't save the guy, I guess you could say.
I was not surprised that Derek went home. I was more surprised that Connor was the one that sent him home, because I thought that Derek would be saved and then he would be voted out for some reason. Like, I thought, like, during that round it would probably be like, oh, okay, everyone, let's just vote Derek. But that just did not happen. I was a little blindsided. I was like,
so were you surprised that Connor was the defender, or were you surprised that he didn't save Derek?
both. I did not see Connor and Derek interact. Of course, there was a clip of Derek and Jason Connor on the balcony, but like, I did not see that conversation take place because I was talking to Madison and maybe Kadia. But that was a shocker. Like, first he said Connor, and I was like, whoa, why is everybody pulling out these defenders out of left field? Because Nicole with Derek with Connor, like, what is going on? And then I saw the power card, and I was like double jaw dropped. I was gagged.
Well, you weren't gagged far enough because you had quite a bit of conversation going into the voting round. Like, the bottom was Jackie, Madison, Jada, and Tessa. And you had a very strong opinion about who needed to be safe this round. Even though Jackie was receiving a lot of the talk, you were one of the main instigators to speak differently.
Yeah, so there was already the trio rumor out there, and you know what? Again, I haven't talked to Jackie yet because I was trying to avoid her like the plague, because I did not want people to put 2 and 2 together, that there was a possibility of us working together. And so I met with Kadia briefly, I met with Jace briefly, and we decided that, like, Jada will help, because not only would it separate the trio, but it would also, like, kind of put more suspicion onto Derek, because it makes it look like, oh my gosh, well, like, Derek is calling the shots, like, Derek,
Yeah.
I feel like as a viewer, I didn't even pick up on, like, you and Jackie. I was like, oh, they seem to be pretty, like, distant. Wonder if, like, anything will happen there. But it seems like there was stuff happening.
Some little. I probably talked to Jackie. Well, besides, like, the later rounds, in the earlier rounds, I probably had a 1.5 minute conversation with Jackie that basically was like, got you, you got me, let's go, separate, don't talk, same page. Literally, like, across the room, like like, literally, like, those subliminal, like, eye contact. It had to be the most subtle shit.
It's like you were passing, like, a secret note behind everyone's back. You're like, don't say anything.
Like the old elementary school. Yeah, I was like,
let's see. But you go into this group of people in the room. Do you remember this conversation happening? You just went off about your experience with Derek and your emotions and how rough it was and this and that. And Shane had to interrupt you eventually, but this was one of the highlights for me. I love this moment. It was so entertaining to watch. Do you recall this conversation?
Yes. And let me tell you, that music made it seem like it was a 20-minute monologue. Baby, that conversation was a good 1 minute and 15 seconds of me talking. And then Shane was like, Madison. And I was like, oh. What?
What were you talking about during that? Because it kind of like...
Oh, yeah, no. I was just talking about, like, how it was just like, because the initial conversation took off like, Luke, how are you doing? Like, you literally just had that whole, like, blow up. Like, how are you feeling? Like, what's going on? And so I was just expressing, like, oh, like, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know where it came from. Like, I've never really, like, had to deal with that before. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I was definitely trying to, like, also inflate, like, the whole ditzy, like, I don't know what's happening kind of thing. I wanted to play that up because my personality is very easily perceivable as, like, I'm ditzy, and, like, so I was definitely trying to, like, play that up, like, a few notches if I could. But that was, like, the summary of it.
100%. I worked very well to the viewers as well. So, fortunately, in your case, Jackie is safe. We do vote Jader off this round. Then you're alerted to the comeback challenge. Are you you're excited a little bit? You do want a few people to come back, and really a few people not to come back per se.
Correct. That is so correct. I thought when I heard it was the comeback, it's so funny. I knew Derek was coming back. I knew, like, I don't know what my gut just said. It's Derek.
It must have been in that dream you had as a kid. So you were like,
you know what? I think that I'm a visionary or something. Like, I think that, like, I can see the future. Besides the point. But I knew that Derek was coming back in my gut of guts. So I started, like, my brain was like, while we were sitting on the couch for maybe 20, 30 minutes waiting for whoever was going to walk through the door. So my brain is going, okay, here's how we can fix things with Derek. If we do this and we do this and we tell him this, and then we talk the story like that, I was coming up with plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G to get Derek back in my corner.
Yeah, that's smart. Preparing for the worst case scenario.
Right.
That's what you got to do sometimes, right, Liz?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, let's see here. The next challenge we have the find the baggage tags. One of my favorites to see in any competition. You run around the house like crazy. Luke, did you not find Easter eggs as a child or something? Like I'm just saying, like you walk out there with one.
I'll be the same. I'll be so bad.
Okay, so I really want to sit here and lie to you and front to you and say that I'm a strategic mastermind and I threw that challenge. That just did not happen. I did, okay, to be fair, before I went into the challenge, I did think about throwing it because I didn't want to expose my hand, but I decided that I was going to play the challenge to the best of my abilities, but my stupid ass could only find one tag, and it was a tag that somebody dropped. It wasn't even a tag that I found for myself. I'm literally seeing all these people like running around. They're like, they have like gaggles of tags like in their fists, like running. And I'm like, where are y'all finding these? I literally turned to Kadia at one point and I was like, girl, where are the tags? Like, can you let me know? I don't know where they are. And I don't even know. I just knew at some point that I was a goner. So I just went back out there and I was like,
David, you had one. You were like,
one tag.
Good effort, I guess.
I also think it's important to note that I was terrible at hide and go seek as a child. So
okay, that explains it. So we just got to get some more practice involved with you.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe like, where's Waldo? So let's see who wins this challenge. Let's see here. Who was it?
Jace.
Yep.
This was the infamous, these are my alliance members.
And just like straight up, he says like, here's my top 5. This is how we're going to do it, everyone.
I was pissed. I was livid. Because to this day, like some fellow cast members have messaged me and been like, if Jace never said that, I would never have known that you were working with him. I would have never known. Because I was playing such a good social sneaky game. I was in everybody's ear. I like to compare myself. I was playing the same game as Shane, except for Shane was the one who played the game more successfully than I did, because obviously I went out, but he didn't. But we were on. I think that's also too like why I knew that I couldn't work with Shane, because we were both playing the same angle. It was like,
hay fever right here.
Not that. It was like, like we're both like sweet and like inclusive and like warm and welcoming. And it's like, those are like the personalities that people easily find themselves attracted towards. So you play that up to the best of your advantage. But, then when your cards get exposed and laid out like that, you don't really have an option.
Yeah, pretty much what you said too. Even later in the game, you were speaking with Shane and you were like, well, we kind of played like we never worked together. And sometimes the same like personality types or the same strategies don't work well together. And so you have to find other suits to complement you, I guess. So
100%.
But you're not actually, like, I think out of the 5 you were number 4. Did that concern you at all? Did you know about the other people in the 5, I guess? Just thoughts about the 5.
I knew Kadia. I clocked it right away. Me and Jace had talked about Kadia. Who else? Who else did you put up there? Connor, right?
Josh and Connor. Yeah, Josh was ahead of you, and then Connor was below you.
Seeing Josh one above me is where I instantly was like, okay, there's some sus on Josh. Josh is playing a good game. Because I had never seen Josh and Chase talk even once. And I was like, there's no way that they hadn't talked, because there's no way that Josh would be put on so high up on the totem pole if they hadn't talked. So that's how I clocked that Josh was playing a good game. Connor being below me didn't really surprise me. There was a little conversation that took place at one point of one of the rounds that I was like, oh well, yeah, he's like a side man for Jace. So,
well, you made it through just fine. So, yay! Even though it showed a little bit of your alliances and whatnot, it is what it is. But you seem to recover just fine from that. Let's see. So, unfortunately, then at the bottom is Jackie.
Correct.
You didn't want to do like a little one-on-one with Jace, be like, hey, just protect Jackie, or was that just not brought up in conversation for you and Jace about your thoughts?
James Oscar Thornton V is one of the most stubborn people I have ever met in my entire fucking life. I literally told him, I said, listen, you, me, and Kadia, I can get Jackie in our corner. I don't care if you don't like Jackie. Jackie is a vote that will vote with me no matter what. That is a number for us. Come to find out later, some behind the scenes tea, that Jace voted for Jackie almost every single freaking round. Every single round. And I was like, Jace, you are literally being stupid, because I'm telling you, this is a number that we can use for our side. But you put her at the bottom. So obviously now Jackie's going to be totally against Jace. So it's like, I found myself in a really hard spot at that point in the game, because it was like, do I make it more known that I'm working with Jackie, or do I stick with Jace? What do I do? Because like Jackie didn't really have that many social ties under her belt. So it wasn't like going with her would be more beneficial to me than it would be going with Jace, who had a lot of allies in his corner. So it was like, well, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah, just did the best you had. So
good old try.
Now you were hoping Jackie would not pick you as the defender, which she doesn't do. But you didn't think at the time you were going to save her. Did that, like, pros and cons each way, I guess, right?
Yeah, so saving Jackie would have been great, because I would still have that number in my corner. However, it would also reveal my cards that me and Jackie are working closely, and would therefore make everybody target me and Jackie the very next round, because it's like, oh, duo, take them out, because you saw how everything went with the trio. So trio, duo, quadruplet, whatever you want to call them, like they're just going to be the ones that are getting targeted, because it's the easiest. It's like the scapegoat. So the pros of taking power was that I show Jace that I'm 100% with him in his decisions. I support him in what he decides to do for his game, because it's going to be best for his game and not my game. Make him seem like I'm playing more of his game than my own game. Also, too, I know that like no matter what decision I would have made, like had I had taken power, like Jackie would have respected it. I wouldn't have caused so many rifts in the house, because Jackie had been in the bottom every single time up until this point. So it's clear where she fell on everyone's rankings.
But Derek was chosen to be the defender. Now you had some interesting run-ins with Derek before this, and then he came back in the house, made that whole like a Luke style entrance, I guess, like just all over the top. Just saying. But were you and Derek pretty rocky at this point, or after coming back in the house, did you have some words and kind of smooth things over?
So let me give you a little BTS. There was a conversation that took place between me and Mr. Derek on the porch, where I definitely said like, hey, I dove a little bit into like how I get in confrontation and how I don't like, it's not always the easiest for me to do. And I kind of apologized and let him know like I did not want to be perceived that way. I would never intentionally like try to be that rude kind of person. And then I proposed that moving forward that we work together, since nobody would suspect it at all. I mean, we literally had exchanged words against each other in front of every single other person. So being like a little bit of a secret duo, like, would kind of change the game a little bit. So he was in agreement, and so we were pretty good at that point. That's why he made the little cute bitches only comment on the porch when I got eliminated from the tag challenge.
So that explained it. Okay, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see here. Jackie is saved. They re-rank and everything. You're fine and everything. So fortunately, Tessa was kind of like the odd person out, kind of luck of the draw, maybe. So, but so moving into the next challenge, we have that decipher thing. We didn't see a ton of you in that challenge. Besides hide and seek and everything. Luke, are codes not your thing either?
So let me give you a little behind the scenes here. I just love saying the word behind the scenes. I don't know why.
We do too.
I'm stupid. I was trying to break the code, and I literally could not remember all the symbols and the letters and the what. There was a point in the challenge where I walked over in the kitchen. I had my Welch's fruit snacks. Shout out to Welch's. You should sponsor me. And I opened them up, and I was eating fruit snacks while I was going back and forth. There's actually a shot of me. I really wish it would have made the edit, but it didn't because it was an out of focus shot of me in the room with the cameraman. And I literally heard them say, "Congratulations, Josh, you're the winner." And I literally was eating fruit snacks. And I looked at the camera and I said, "Well,"
yes.
It was such a mess. Maybe it'll get like on Patreon. He'll do like behind the scenes footage, hopefully. But
yeah,
it was a mess.
Oh, is Dustyn frozen?
Oh my gosh! Do you want to build a snowman? Come on, let's go and play.
I better step up and ask some questions.
Yes, the question.
Yeah. Oh no, he's
reconnecting.
Oh no.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, that's okay. So something about Welch's and something out of frame shot. So that's what I got. So
yeah, that basically that sums it up right there.
Yeah, that's why the replays are so valuable. This podcast later on anything that hosts podcasts. So I might just pop in to see what I missed. So
not much.
Yeah.
Snacking while playing challenges.
Oh, what I was going to add though, deciphering the code and the symbols. Liz, you can relate?
Can I? Oh, from Backyard Survivor?
About that one symbol that maybe you had flipped upside down?
Oh, yeah. That's like
yeah. We won't. Okay, we won't.
I don't remember, honestly.
No, okay.
I thought I was doing the easy part of that challenge, and then it turned out I was doing the hard part. Yeah. But yeah, remembering numbers and stuff, like that's I totally relate.
Not it. It's not it.
It's not it. Yeah.
It is for some people and some people not. So there we go. You two never on the number channel, right?
No, never. Don't put me there.
Yeah. No. He's frozen. He's like.
I love the new pose every single time that it freezes.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks so excited.
It reminds me of the mannequin challenge. Do you remember when that was a thing? Like a long time ago. It was like that weird song, and it was like, and people would post videos and like literally like they walk around a room and people would just be like frozen.
Yeah, I vaguely remember something about that. Yeah.
It was like that was like my freshman year of high school. Oh my god, I feel so old. Let me stop.
He's back.
Hello.
See, and this is why we have two hosts here. So, so the challenge: you get placed in the bottom. Josh wants to make a big move. Are you surprised by Josh's? Seems like you are.
You know what? Remember how I said that I clocked Josh's game earlier on? Yeah, I didn't clock that part. I clocked that he was playing like everybody else, but I didn't think he was playing me. And when he put me on the bottom, I was like I 100% support his move because I was like, I was playing a really, really, really good game at this point. So like, I had no enemies towards on the jury. Like Connor and I were good. Like, I see where he's coming from, and I 100% respect it. He went on and explained like basically when he plays games, he's always like he makes a list of what the names he's heard, who he's heard targeted, and then he puts whoever he hadn't heard targeted at the forefront of like target lists because it's like these people are obviously doing something right. And it just like the other people whose names hadn't been brought up at that point were Shane and Sabrina, but Shane and Sabrina just happened to be in his alliance, so that just left me. But yeah, I was really surprised by this. I was a little more surprised when I got the Switch as well.
It's that choreographer and you coming out. That's what it is.
Literally, somebody made a fan cam of that whole moment and they put it to music. It was so funny. It was so funny.
Gonna have to look for it. That's for sure. It reminded me of when Derek won the comeback challenge. You just like,
yes.
You really need to like fall down and like land on your butt. So maybe
on the carpet. We'll go reshoot it. I'll go time travel.
maybe like an all-star season. So you just have to redo it for us. There you go. So you get saved. You're the Switch. Are you surprised that they chose you? Looking back, did you think that the relationships you built with them, it made sense?
No. So
Raping?
So I thought Jace was gonna get it. Because Connor was like Jace's like he was helping Jace from what I perceived. And Tessa, like I know that she was anti-Jace because you know, all of her confessionals and like, you know, how she was like, I don't want Jace here. Like she made that very evident from the start. So I was really surprised. Like Connor, Jada, and I had just had that alliance the previous round that I obviously went against, but I don't think that Connor knew that I went against it. So I feel like that's why he still felt that he was good with me. And I think Connor's mentality was like, okay, when I got voted out, like Luke was just doing what he had to do. The votes were already there. He couldn't really put much of a sway into it. I think I was viewed more as like the underdog by him and Tessa at that point. So I think that's why they gave me the Switch.
And it was worth it because right after that, we saw one of the best card moves in the game. It was kind of like, it couldn't have been played better, honestly. So
honestly, all I've got to say is screw y'all's twists. That's all I've got to say. All I have to say. That was ugly. That was not needed, not necessary.
So you are completely surprised that Shane switched the positions and we find you back at the bottom. However, now it's your choice to pick a defender. Madison pretty much like shouts out to you and says, pick me, I will save you. And did you consider that? No,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know what? People don't. My intuition is so good. My intuition is really good. And the first red flag was, it's Asher, it's Jada, it's Jace, it's Jackie. The second red flag was during the challenge when we called her a snake. Me and Kadia wrote down that Madison was, or I don't think I showed mine, but I wrote down Madison was the biggest snake. So I didn't trust her. So I knew that girl was going to take power. And after the season, she was like, yeah, I would have taken power over you. And I was like, yeah, I know. Like, I know. You didn't have to tell me. That's why I didn't pick you. So yeah, there was not even an inch of like, maybe help. No, I knew.
Now, this decision, did it help influence even like after the game with Jackie? I know you two were kind of rough before. Did this experience help in that?
Absolutely. So shortly after the Totem Pole stopped filming and right before quarantine, we took a little trip to San Antonio, another city in Texas, together. We spent like 3 or 4 days there together. You know, we kind of used it as like let's like rekindle, let's refocus, let's like cut off from like social media and just like spend time with each other. And it was a really good experience for us. And Jackie and I today are really, really close, getting back towards where we used to be together. So yeah, it definitely worked out for us in that sense.
Yay. Yeah, it's really nice to hear.
Yeah. I'm sorry, there's like something flying in my face. Also, another thing, the reason why, because a lot of people were like, why did you pick Jackie as your defender? Because like you know, like I said, there was like the short conversations that weren't really shown because there wasn't much material to pull from them because we decided it would be better for us to not talk as much as we could.
Yeah.
I put Jackie's game on blast. Like, you literally saw me. I said in front of everyone, I said, you know, a history, like, this is your chance. Like, let's make amends. Let's move forward. And if people, the reason I use that verbiage was because in the event that Jackie did take power over me, people would see her character and then they would go after her, which that sounds like such a petty thing, but like, it's like, you know, they wouldn't like try to weave her into their core alliance system. So, you know, I was still playing the game when I wasn't playing the game.
You have to play the game at every single opportunity you're given. So even in the smallest conversations, any like quick eye glance, any quick anything, like it all adds up and it's all what people see. So I think so far you have noticed all the little cracks, every little thing to do, and you played a great game. And then we get to the vote. 3-3. We got a tie. And lots of drama ensues. Luke, explain to everyone out there, from your perspective, a tie.
That's stressful.
Let me collect myself. So at this point in the game, it is very, very evident that it is Josh, Sabrina, and Shane trio. It is very evident that Jace, Luke, Kadia trio. Like, there's just no way around it. So the only people in the bottom four to be able to receive votes were me, Derek, Kadia, and Jackie. So I couldn't risk, because I saw that Jackie was getting close with Shane, and I couldn't risk. Like, I didn't know about the Pinky Promise Alliance thing, but I did know that Jackie and Shane were getting kind of close. So I was like, okay, so I can't keep Jackie, because if I keep Jackie, she's gonna go and weave her way with Shane instead of me. Like, she would prioritize Shane over me, which is like, because, you know, yes, we made up, yes, we had our moment, like, that's cute, but like I know, like, in Jackie's mind, she was thinking, now I don't owe you anything. Like, we're tit for tat, we're good, now I don't owe you anything, now I can go against you. So I knew that was a very dangerous thing to have in the game at the time. So when Kadia came forth and was like, we're voting Jackie, I was like, this sucks, because I wanted to play it up like, oh, we just made amends, like, I feel bad. Like, I knew, like, that's what I had to do.
There was no other option.
Exactly. I was surprised that when I pulled Jackie and Shane aside and I threw out Derek's name, I was so surprised they didn't tell Derek, because Derek had revealed, like, if he knew that I said his name, he would have flipped and voted for me, and I would have been gone. So I don't know how that in that moment, like, Jackie and I still had a little bit of trust. I don't know why Shane didn't throw me under the bus either to Derek to try to sway his vote. Maybe he didn't pick up that me and Derek were as close at that point as we were. I'm not too sure. But when Derek was like, oh yeah, I'm voting for Jackie, I was so surprised. I was like, okay, like, I mean, thank you, but like, okay. But yeah, the vote tied, and I had a little hiss moment here. I had a little snake moment, if you will. So again, did not make the edit, but Miss Jackie looked at me during this tie vote, and she was like, hey, like, I don't know if I can be here. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, this is just getting a lot for me. Like, I don't know if I can handle it, like, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And I know how Jackie thinks, and I know how she works, and I felt bad for having to do it, but at the end of the day, it's a game, and I couldn't risk losing one of my core alliance members to a random draw that would have happened if a tie ensued again. So I told her, I said, hey, like, I really want to be here. This game means everything to me. Like, just being here and being, like, able to participate and make it one round further, like, as much as I can do, like, this literally means so much to me. So, like, if you don't want to be here, then tell them. Like, I honestly, like, I need to stay. Like, I know my story's not over yet. I'm ready to keep fighting. Like, just tell them. And then she told them. So I kind of played a little bit on her emotions and kind of pushed her to quit. So
I think you were also playing in your own emotions too. You really wanted, this was something that you really like you said earlier, like at 9, you were going to be on reality TV in some way.
Oh, yeah.
So this is just, This was your dream too. So,
Yeah.
What I forgot to mention before that was the Madison challenge. Everyone kind of teamed up against Madison. It was really kind of everyone against her at that point, but she had so many cards. Was there any? It was pretty much like you even like in that clip you instigated like from the production point of view, like you were the first person to say we're all going for Madison.
Yeah, I did do that because at that point I was so annoyed.
Yeah.
I was like, you literally are a snake, and you cried when I called you a snake. She
tried to get your defender. She had two cards that were known, like, so there was no.
Bye. I literally I made eye contact with Kadia. Kadia first. And I was like. Then Kadia made eye contact with Derek, who made eye contact with me, and we were like. And then I made eye contact with Jackie, and she was like, because we were just all over it. The cards had to go, and it was just too much. But one thing that I don't know, like it was kind of touched on, like briefly, but I still have to give huge kudos to was Miss Jackie for showing me how to use chopsticks because I had no idea. I literally looked out of the corner of my eye. She was looking at me, and she was like eyeballing the chopsticks, and I was like trying to get the hang of it. Madison's over there freaking out because she doesn't know how to use them. It was a lot. But I was like, I was so hyper focused on myself. I was like, she's freaking out. Don't let this energy get to you. You got to focus on your chopsticks.
Any practice with chopsticks after that, sir? Have you gone to like sushi or anything?
Absolutely. Pei Wei, I started using them at Panda Express. You never know when you're going to use chopsticks. So.
There we go. Hey, great advice for everyone out there. Our next challenge is you're back to the hill. This time you dressed a little differently, not in those tight pants, but more athletic wear, and you were like ready to get the challenge done. So you were ready to go. Unfortunately, the challenge had other ideas for you, Luke. So.
Yeah, no, they said, bye. If it was a run up the hill challenge, mine, I would have had it, but. Those blocks, literally, you could literally just go, and it would just fall, they would all fall. It was so windy. And I was like, this is so stupid. I hate it. It was so
tough for everyone, too, what it looked like. Everyone was building up, falling down, building up. And then luckily, Jace goes forward and Sabrina goes forward, and then Sabrina and then Jace. Like they were kind of neck and neck for a while. But Jace pulls it off at the end. First thoughts out of your mind. Jace, good?
Yes, I thought, because I was like, okay, yes, this is it. I knew that Shane was going to get the switch. I wasn't stupid. Madison was team Shane. Jackie was team Shane. So I told him, I said, you need to put Sabrina at the bottom and then put Josh or Derek at number 2. If you put Derek at number 2, he will be the vote that goes with us. That's 4-3. And then when Shane switches himself to number 2, puts Derek into the bottom 3, Derek will retaliate and come with us, making us having majority. I literally laid that out for him step by step by step. I told him exactly what he needed to do. And then he did otherwise.
Yeah, I was going to say, this goes back to Jace's prerogative before. Like, he is very hard to convince and hard to, like, say reason.
And you know what? As bitter as I may be, he made a move that he thought would be good for his game. I have a different opinion, but I mean, if he wants to make his bed.
Do you think you could have done anything different to sway anyone else to switch over? Looking back at the tapes, you can see how tight the other 3 were and how convinced they were to stay together. Do you think there was any crack you could find that, looking back? Every
single crack I pushed. There was not a single crack that I did not step over. I stepped on all of them. I literally... I thought I had Josh clocked. Like, I had Josh clocked. I literally told them, I said, y'all, if you take him to the end, he is going to win. He has a stronger resume than any of you. Like, you literally cannot say that you've done anything. And, like, there's even one part of the speech that got left out that I literally said, if Josh makes it to the end, I'm voting for him. Like, point blank in the period. Like, he literally outplayed both of you. Like, watching it back, obviously I see things like I didn't see at the time, but, like, Shane and Sabrina were just, like, playing, like, their low-key game. which I don't want to underestimate or under-respect because they did what they did and it got them to the final 3. However, it was just like, for me as a player and a juror looking at who I'm going to crown to win, I'm looking for big, bold, not afraid to make moves. And it was just like, I was having a hard time seeing like those bold moves. Like Shane almost convinced me with his like, oh, I made my social connections and yada, yada, yada. But it was always Josh for me.
We have someone watching, and
hello.
I can't quite read this, so let's see. Anybody know what this says? French was not my subject in school.
I think. How are you?
I'm great. Je m'appelle Giro de France. You're from France. How are you? I'm from France.
Oh, well, glad you're watching from France. Thank you for tuning in.
That's so cool.
I have no idea. Thank you, Liz, for interpreting that. So that's a skill I
did 1 year of French in high school. Apparently it paid off.
This situation. Luke, final thoughts and everything, like your experience. I don't know. Liz, you want to chime in with a quick question before I pass it over to Luke?
Yeah. Yeah, how was the experience for you? How did you find like sort of coming out of the game? And yeah, you talked a bit about like, rekindling stuff with Jackie, but I guess just, do you have like any sort of things you had to sort of overcome after the game, or was it all good?
Yeah. So the game was a wonderful experience to me, and anybody watching, applications are open. You need to play. It was life-changing, literally. I talked to those people every single day. There's not a single time where I don't talk to them. The game gave me confidence. Which I know, okay, I know that sounds like so weird coming from me, but like even more so. Like playing the game up until the end, like when I needed to have my butt on the line, like I kind of was playing like a little bit quiet and like not like vocal with what I wanted to do. I was kind of like being sneaky with it. But ever since then, I've gained the whole sense of like, no, these are my intentions. This is what I want to get done. So this is what's going to get done. And that's translated to my everyday life as far as like friendships and relationships and my work life, my home life, like everything. Like if I want it done, it's going to get done. So it's definitely helped me be more decisive. Decisive is the word. And as far as like Jackie, like after the show, like I really don't think there was anything left for us to conquer. I really feel like, because after filming, like there was like one day where like everything was done, everyone's getting ready to leave. We were just celebrating ourselves and like what we had done and all that kind of stuff. And it was just, we had time to talk and debrief and like like I said, plan that trip that we were going to take. And I honestly think that we just left all of our feelings out there. And I think that really just projected us into a really good spot of where we are today.
It's fantastic. These games bring out the best of people.
And the worst.
They build us up so well. And it's just great to see all these people take something different and something unique from these games. So, Luke, so glad we got to talk. So glad we got to hear about all the behind the BTS. And I'm learning my terms. I think Liz started me on sus, though. I hear that a lot these days with that new game Among Us. So
is it Among Us that you hear it so much?
Yeah, Among Us and a Backyard Survivor, and then now coming from Luke, it must be like a thing. I gotta like keep up to date with my lingo here, folks. Well, not being sus here, but thank you, everyone. We've been very keen. Another word that I picked up before, on having you here, Luke. Thank you for hanging out with us. For everyone watching at home, make sure you check out the podcast and you can replay this, especially that part that I missed myself. I'll have to go back and watch. But for everyone, there is also a reunion show for the Totem Pole that just hit a few days ago on YouTube. So make sure you check that out.
That part.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And we'll see you on our next one.
Bye.
Bye. Our next one will probably